Hi, Norton here, and this is just a overview tutorial of Fragmotion, also known as Fragmo. I'm not going to get into too much of the nuts and bolts as I hope to do more detailed ones, but I just thought I'd share this. I don't purport to be an expert. I use it primarily for animation, gestures, handheld props, and Movie Storm, and it's going to be geared to using it with Movie Storm, so I should warn you about that. And if you're going to use it for Movie Storm, you're going to need to use another program to get the your work into Movie Storm. Like I use Misfit, which is free. Fragmotion actually costs $50 to buy. You can use it for $7 at a time um, by typing in the Lord's Prayer into the interface, and then you can avoid pop-ups. It's a good way to actually work with the program, see if it works for you. Something better than dealing with pop-ups. There is an option that gives you the pop-ups, and it's just annoying. So the other thing I should mention is that it's available at fragmosoft.com, and there's a downloads link. There's a forums. When you download it, make sure you also download SkeleKeys, as that's it's a plugin that uh, adds a couple of nice features that I use. Sorry about that. Just want to make sure you're all awake. Things were getting a little sleepy there. So I'm sure you're sick of looking at this window, but a couple other things I need to show you to set up. You want to set up your keyboard and your mice bindings. Go to Edit, Edit Bindings, and then you get your keyboard options. So you need to change one. You highlight it, click on Edit, and then you have the selection of what key and modifiers, Control, Alt, and Shift. So that's for the keyboard. Now, I'll suggest some settings you might want to use for that later. I'll circle back to that, but mine are more oriented towards animation rather than the texturing things. So now to do the mouse, same menu, edit, edit mouse setup, and you can have multiple mouse configurations. I could have stuck with default, but I was having issues trying to get it configured to what I wanted. So I created one called Norton. And the main thing you want to have is move camera. And part of the problem I had on move camera on your middle mouse button or wheel for the push function. One of the problems I had was that my mouse software on my new computer was set for the middle the button function of the wheel to be scroll, and it wasn't working in Fragmo. So when I press on the middle button, I should be able to get this effect to be able to position, the window. And you want to make sure you have that. It makes things a lot easier. All right, so let's move on to the windows and the other panes. And just one thing I wanted to point out quick is the axes of by default they're not aligned to the Movie Storm. And I bring in the Movie Storm puppet, which may not be the puppet you have. I don't know where I got this. Somewhere along the line, a long time ago, I got this puppet in male and female that is aligned along the Movie Storm axis, and with the green axes, I should say. The green goes up through the middle of the puppet, and the X and the Y are at his feet. So that may be different. You can realign the puppet. I'm not sure if the ones I checked, the ones that are available on the site are not. The puppets are not aligned in this way. So this is the milk shape, and I should say that it's the MS3D puppet used for milk shape, and that's the puppet, the format that I work with. So this is how I align my windows. I put the tools over here, and we'll get back to them in a minute. And then I put the components that make up the model on the right side. So you have and you can nest them here. You can divide them up into little windows and try. But I found it more effective to scroll through them when I need them. So I've got them so animation is here. Skeleton is here, and you can see the movie storm puppet there. Modeling group is here. Textures and schema. So that's where I keep the components for the actual puppet. And then on the other side we have the tools. Alright, you're gonna may notice some cutouts in this tutorial because Cam Studio's just sometimes just not working for me. So hopefully I'm not repeating myself. I'm losing a lot of takes, but I'm gonna put this together in post later. Um, so the tools are over here, and the ones that I use the most are the skeletal animation, and that I leave, generally leave so that they're cascading in the camera. Um, in the skeletal animation, you have your widget, and then you have the individual keys, and everything that's under the widget is on the widget. So this is the widget. Um, and if you look through the other functions, you see there are widgets for everything, and they can be useful, and some, they can be used in conjunction with shortcut keys. I probably tend to drift back to using just the widget too much, but they're really effective for certain things. So and just give you an idea what they do. There was no edit there. There was, well, really there was about 5, but at any rate, if anyone knows a good video capture software for free, let me know. So here's the widgets, and you have select bone, you have translate, rotate, rotate key local, scale key, and inverse kinematics, which is good for just totally breaking your puppet. If you ever want to have fun breaking a puppet, I highly suggest it. So select bone is obvious. Use it to select the bone. And you can see I had a failed attempt at doing this before. That's just why everything was highlighted like this. And now the whole puppet is selected. Alright, full disclosure time here. I have virtually thrown Cam Studios into the trash bin, and it's 2 days later and I'm trying a new video capture, screen capture software. So when last we left, which to you was like 2 seconds ago, I was explaining the tools. So this is the widget, and I believe I went through the select bone, and right now I have the head bone selected, and I have a preference when I'm animating something. I don't really need to see the bone once it's selected, so I like to shut off the skeleton, which I have a shortcut key set for, but if you recall, it's also up here. So just to give you an idea on what the colors of the widget are for, they actually correspond to the axes of the puppet. So the red is the Y, and the blue is the X, and the green is the Z. So I also, when I'm moving them around, you can tend to get confused how you want to move the puppet. So I also try to remember, that red will we're going to select the rotate tool here, and remember I have the head selected. So red will rotate like a clock, basically, if I can just keep going. So that's like, I can think of the red as the clock face. The blue is like a wheel alignment rotation, like on a calf coming forward, rolling at you, and the green, well, rolling at you if the puppet's facing you, and the green is what I think of a halo over the puppet's head, but you could also use it as, or refer to as, the exorcist type of animation with the head spinning. So if you the other thing you want to, if you're looking, and I should have pointed this out before I started twisting around, but if you look over here on the left hand lower corner, you can also see what which one of the axes is not locked when you click on these. So green, the Z is open, blue, the X is open, and red, the Y is open. So that's for the rotate tool. So in these other areas, the other colors, the non-primary colors, they only lock down one of the axes. So you can play with those. If you hit the center, you unlock everything. So none of them are locked. Now, if you ever get into a situation, and I'm going to show you, well, yeah, I guess I can show you. You select the hand bone, or let's select the hand bone, and we go to rotate. If you don't have, and you get into a situation where you see, and I'll unlock it up here so you see. Oh, damn. Sometimes you got to make sure that's clicked. And then you select rotate. So the hand rotates, but sometimes by chance, or if you're doing other functions and you unlock affect children, you'll get a corruption like this because you're just rotating at one bone and you haven't selected affect children, so the child bones are staying in place. So if you ever see that, go find this checkbox and check it. So you save yourself a lot of grief. And then once again, it's checked and the hand moves. So that's the rotate. All right, now we're going to move on to rotate local. And just before I do, I need to turn this puppet. Well, I don't need to turn him. I need to animate that arm a little bit. Let's swing it up to here. All right. So now the arm is extended, and I know I said I don't like to see the bones when I'm animating, but for rotate local, you kind of need to see it. So I don't use this a lot. I tend to try to stick with rotate. In some instances, this may work better for you for certain animations. So now if I rotate on, you saw before if I rotate on the red, that the arm is going to go like in a clockwise motion. So now when you go to rotate local, so that was rotating on the main axis. So you go to rotate local, you are actually going to be rotating on the local axes of the joint. So now that I've raised the arm, originally these were aligned with the core, the base axes, but now that I've rotated the arm, they've changed, and you can see that the red is pointing up and down. So if I've got red selected and I've got rotate local selected, and I rotate the arm, it doesn't go in the same, it's still spinning around the way I've got it, the angle I've got it in, but if it's not the same as, actually that one looks the same. Hang on a second. It's not exactly the same. Let's see where this one comes in right through the shoulder, and then we do it on here, and you can see it's swiping out over the shoulder. So it's going to rotate on that plane rather than the core plane, and you probably get a better demonstration of it if I do a rotation here on the green. You can see he's swinging his arm that way, hits his elbow. But if I go over to rotate local and hit the green, it's a totally different plane that he's swinging on. So that can be probably a little more useful with the finger animations, and but it's something that it's probably a preference thing, and it could be, and also what angle you have the puppet at, and he may be aligned better to animate with the rotate local rather than the rotate. So that's rotate local, and once again, the widget, same thing. It's going to unlock certain based on the colors if you're using the widget. The translate key rather, that will slide if you select the whole puppet. You really don't want to use this on a puppet for anything but maybe the core, just moving the entire puppet. So if you select the root, and I didn't quite get it, now the root, and I wanted to move him, I don't have the root selected. Once again, just make sure it's highlighted, and then you hit translate. And now, so I'm going to select blue. This will move him right along the axis that you select. And red will move him backwards and forwards. Theoretically, what happened there? There he goes. And then green will go up and down. So just to give you an idea, I'm gonna undo all that so I don't go back in time, and so I don't mess this up. I'm not gonna save it anyway. Scale is good for you don't use it on the movie stone puppet. Good for props. It just scales the whole thing, makes it bigger or smaller. And then inverse kinematics, you can break things really good. There's more to that. I'll try to. I'm starting to get a better feel for it, but you don't want to jump into that right away. It's kludgy as far as how you work with it, and there's really more that should be configured before you just try to use it. And I'm still working my way around some of that. So that's it. That finishes up the widget and the animation manipulation tools on the skeletal animation, which is what you want to use when you're animating for Movie Storm. So now I want to just explain a little bit about like the camera and why I leave that open. So if you may have noticed as I rotate the puppet, he kind of rotates around his feet, and that is because if you look at the rotate camera in these settings down here, it's set to rotate at the 000 coordinate. So, and you see when you're in this view, you get the actual, you know, the whatever the circle around the puppet that tells you the rotation. So if you select center of mass, you're going to get a completely different action, which is, oops, I was trying to go straight. And if you click outside the circle, it will rotate right around the plane. But if you get in the middle, you can really flip them whichever way you need to. And I'm just not right clicking. I'm left mouse clicking here in order to do this. And to do the slide, this is where the middle button comes in very handy to slide the guy around. So and then actually, you know what? Right click does the flip as well. So they kind of act the same in this function. So center selection would be the same in this case. And actually, as I click around, this show look at button highlights where you're selected. So right there, you see, watch it move. It's not right now. I'm center of selection. Center of mass puts it right up here in his chest. 0 puts it here. It's a little green circle. User point is going to be, that seems to go right to 0 probably because I don't have any bones selected. I usually use the top 3, which is why I'm a little unsure of the user point and the hit test. Camera rotates it out. Oh shoot. Well, out where you're viewing from, basically, and see, you can see it's like rotating right around the camera. So that and one thing, it depends on what you're animating, what you want to use, or just how the quickest way to move the puppet. Like if I was to select, let me get the skeletal. For some reason my shortcut key wasn't working because I think it's associated with the screen capture software. So at any rate, I wanted to show you one thing. Now when you're working with something like the hand, say the hand bone, we got one of the fingers selected there, and this is where I really like to probably, to use, once again, to use local, you don't want to do it, but in order to see where the fingers are moving, I really like to, and I didn't select the one I wanted to. I really like to have the bones actually shut off, because they just get, there's too many bones to, you can see I selected the wrong one. So that's male one, finger one. That's the one. So I want to get the index finger. But if I shut it off, now I get a better feel for what the animation is actually, where the finger is actually moving. So right now, if you can see, if I'm rotating it 0, 0, it's not really good. I'm rotating around the feet. That doesn't work. So I use center of selection, and now you can really manipulate right around the hand and get it, zero into where you want to position it in order to animate it. So if you turn this back on, now maybe the rotate local key will be of more use as far as where you want to rotate that finger. And I think I've lost so many takes, I don't remember, so this is repeating myself. This is where I really use the SkeleKeys options. The bone up and the bone down, I have them set to 2 keys, and well, what's bone down is E, so I don't want to go the wrong way here. So I go down to the E, and then I start to move it, and you see it jump. So now I can really get into some detailed finger animations by just going up and down the bone, see, and in order to really get into some fine movements with the fingers. And all I need is to have my hand on the keyboard and the mouse button in order to just keep moving up and down. And you can break the guy's finger, you can do lots of things, but twist it a little. You don't really want to avoid twisting, because the hand starts to look pretty funky if you start twisting. You can see how how it changes as far as, like, when you start rotating, and what you got to watch your axes on the fingers. You can get one out of alignment, and you can kind of put it into a pretty easily if you do. But I just find that bone up and bone down on the hand, on when you're working with the legs and the feet, and I think I stated before that you really can't use it on the arms, because you just got to select I got the scale key selected. You just got to select the whole arm in order to get a good animation on the arm. Or those twist bones, they'll just start corrupting your animations. And we're actually on to the last thing that I want to show you, and I've been holding out on you, because this is the real reason I love this program so much for animation. And it's, if you click on your animation, you can double click and you can right click to get it open, but it's called the keyframe editor. Now I can't move this out of the screen, so now let me close that and get the puppet moved over here. It's not going to be ideal, unfortunately. This is actually something, if you have two screens, you're in good shape. That's what you really want to have. Is to be at work with this. It just makes things a lot easier. So showing this is going to be difficult, but I'm going to try to do it in a more detailed fashion at another time. So actually, now I'll just start here. So these, you see you have your menu, edit, select pose. I'm just going to do a quick animation just to give you a feel of what this is all about. So if you select the bone, you select the shoulder bone, and I'm just going to animate it. All right, he's just moving his arm up. Okay, actually, let me undo that. First, I'm going to select create initial pose frame. So put that there. That's his initial pose. And if you clear the skeleton, it might look a little more familiar. All right, that's the initial move we're still in pose. So now I've copied that in. Now I am just going to move this slider out to about 30 frames, and I'm going to do the same at the end. So now I have an end and a beginning pose. In some cases, you don't want to do that. If you're animating a sophisticated animation with a lot of with different degrees of animations in it, you kind of want to go step by step, or 5 frames at a time. Because if you set an animation here in the middle now, it's just going to start tweening back before and you can't build on it. So if you're doing a simple back and forth animation, then you can build on it. I like to create a frame when I do that. So this is just an empty frame, and this is where I'm going to do my animation. So now I move the arm up, and now I decide, okay, I'm going to put a little head animation in there too. Select that, rotate. Come on, I didn't get it. Actually, I'm going to close this so you can see better. And then he's just doing a little, let's just say he tilts his head that way a little bit. Alright, so now we can play through the animation. He's got a little arm and he's bobbing his head. So you can loop it just to keep it, see how it looks. Turn the skeleton off. There he goes. He's doing some kind of funky dance. So now if you stop it, you find that head rotation. You right click and you can select this entire roll. I want to get, if you look at these are all part of the head. Probably an easy way to do this, but I probably shouldn't have picked the head. There's too many bones in the head. But anyway, I've highlighted them here. Alright, so now I can actually select up here, move keys, and I can move those keys. So now when you play your animation, he moves his head earlier than he did before. So now that I've also got those selected, I can copy them and I can paste. When you paste, they come in right on the first frame. You got to move them where you want them. So I'm just going to move them there. And you see he holds his head in that position longer and before he puts it back. So you can play around with this, for instance, if I were to select the first frame and copy it over here, the head animations. See if I can do it quick. He's gonna bob his head back and forth. Again, why did I select the head? Alright, there it is. So copy those, paste, copy, paste, put them in the middle. Now you're going to have a complete head bob, faster head bob in there. So that gives you a brief idea of what you can do in the keyframe editor. Now I could go into more detail and demonstrate, but some of the things you can do is you can create new animations. Like you can copy this animation, duplicate. I have a new one. Now if I go on and animate that, I can go into it, copy portions of it into the other animation. You can append these, you can combine them, you can split them. There's ways to split them. It's just like there's a lot of flexibility, but like I said, it's a lot to put together. So that concludes this tutorial on Fragmo, and I hope you get some value out of it, and let me know, and I'm gonna try to do more. Thanks.